to hashtag Mom Squad. Diagnosis, Mom Polar. If you missed last week's video or any of the other ones, don't forget to check them out and make sure you like and subscribe.
I'm Carrie. I'm Kendra.
I'm Candace.
And I'm Caitlin, and I will be your moderator. So today we have a wonderful friend with us. Her name is Kim, and in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we wanted to bring her on and kind of share her story. And we're calling this one When Your Faith is Stronger, because I think Kim has a lot of stories, and there's even some other ones that we'd like to bring her on and share some of her other amazing stories that she has. And the one common ground that I've always known with Kim is that her faith always is above and beyond.
Thank you.
So, take it away.
Hi. Well, I'm Kim, and I'm so privileged to be here with you ladies, and they have been friends of mine for quite some time. And do you want me to just kind of start?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm a stay-home mom, and I have a son that's 12, the same age as Caitlin's son, and they've been soccer friends for a long time. And I have a husband named Steve, and my son's named Corey. And so we were just going through life just as normal, and felt just fantastic this summer, probably stronger than I've felt in years. And
You deal with a lot of other health issues,
right,
thyroid and some other
right,
stuff, so
right.
you don't always feel the best.
I don't feel the best, and so I'm always tired. So that was just normal for me. But I was out mowing grass and cleaning boats, and I was really working hard this summer. Felt really good. And so the day before Mother's Day, Corey was out mowing the backyard, and we have a really large hammock. So I was moving it, and it's on rollers, and so when I pushed it, I hit a concrete block, and it hit me. The bar came and hit me across my breast, and it really hurt, but didn't think a lot about it and continued to work. So the next morning was Mother's Day, and when I was getting ready for church, I was looking in the mirror and noticed that my breast was twice the size of the other one, and it was really red and swollen. And yelled at my husband. I said, "Oh my goodness, I have breast cancer." And Steve said, "No, remember you hit your breast yesterday." "That's right, that's what it is." And he said, "Well, you really hit it hard." So didn't think a lot about it, but made an appointment, went to the doctor on Monday. And so the doctor looked at it, and he said, "You've just really bruised it really good." So he sent me for a mammogram and an ultrasound. Believe it or not, normal. Wasn't really normal, but they kind of called it normal, and they said, "Come back in 6 months, you have mastitis." So had no idea that a 54-year-old could get mastitis, and I've never had a baby, so I didn't even know what that would even feel like or look like. So the doctor started treating me for mastitis, and I was on 3 different kind of antibiotics, and it just wouldn't clear up. Well, it continued to get worse and worse, and it was like really, really large. And we went to the doctor. I went to the doctor 8 times within 2 months. Every single week I was going to the doctor. It's just not clearing up. So the very last week, it had started getting a rash on it, and the nipple turned inward. Well, when that happened, I knew that it was bad when the nipple turns in. But a funny part is, it felt like my breast wasn't even attached to me, and so this is really silly. But I got a vegetable or a food scale, and I started weighing my breast. I know that's pretty odd, but I kept thinking, that is just, what is wrong with me? I mean, it's like a pound heavier. So if you think, or a pound and a half. So, this thing is hanging on me a pound and a half bigger than the other one. So I told my doctor I really knew about it, because I took the temperature and I weighed it, because it was very, very hot. Had a fever, and it was just very heavy. Well, I didn't know that was all cancer, which is really frightening now that I think about it. So anyway, do you want me to continue?
Yeah.
Okay. So what happened then is that finally the doctor called me home and he said, we're really getting concerned and I want you to come in. We're not going to charge you. We need to look at it. We really need to just refer you to, to a specialist and to a surgeon. It's some kind of infection or something. So, so that day when I went to the surgeon, I told my husband, I'll just go by myself. They're not going to do anything. So when I went to the surgeon, Dr. Parrish, he said, I'm really afraid that it may be cancer. Well, I Googled everything, so I already knew that. And I knew there was a cancer that looked just like mastitis. And when he said that, I said, in my mind I was thinking, I know that. But I didn't even tell my husband, I didn't tell anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, well, it can't be cancer because I just hit it. I mean, it was an accident.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, sometimes, I'll never forget this, he said, sometimes God gives us a gift. Mm-hmm. And when he gives us that gift, he shows us what's really going on the inside. Well, I couldn't get past that, and he said, I have to do a biopsy. Well, if you can imagine hearing cancer, knowing that you're going to have a biopsy, I was all alone. And it was just, I just started to pass out. Well, this lady that he brought in to be with me, she held my hand and she said, honey, I'm so sorry. I usually work in the diet center. She said, I have never been over here when somebody has been told they have cancer. And I said, well, honey, just hold my hand because I'm just about to pass out. And so she was just precious and just stood there and held on to me while he took the biopsy. And it's just all like a blur, because then, so the day before July 4th, I called and I knew that they had the results, but they wouldn't give it to me. So I knew that was not good news. So the doctor came in to the office on July 4th and called and said, it is breast cancer and it's not a good one. You need to come to the doctor tomorrow. So I can't even tell you what that feels like.
Yeah, try to have a good rest of the holiday with that.
Yeah, on the July 4th.
Yeah.
And so, I just didn't want to, I just didn't tell anybody that day because I didn't want to ruin anybody's 4th of July except my immediate family, And so the hardest part was to tell Corey, and I didn't know how to do it.
And you're very close to your son.
I'm very, very, very close to him. We're just like, we're like that. So he was lying in bed, and I just went and laid down. I just wanted to be near him, and I just laid down and was holding him and rubbing his hair, and I started to cry. And he woke up, and he just said, what's wrong? He had his back to me, and he said, what's wrong? And I said, I just wanted to lay here and just love on you a little bit. And he said, no, something's really wrong. And so he turned around and looked at me, and I said, I have cancer, baby. And this is so amazing, the faith of a child. He looked at me in the eyes, and he said, it's just going to be okay, Mom. It is just going to be okay. Nothing's going to happen. You're going to be fine. And when it was like my heart rested that my child had such faith. And that's what I told him. I said, Corey, it's amazing that you have that kind of faith, because if we didn't have that faith, we'd be all to pieces, wouldn't we? But I said, God, because you have Jesus in your heart, you have that faith that we're going to be okay. So, of course, the rest of that day, it was just absolutely a blur because I cried the whole day. And I remember calling one of my friends, and she is such a prayer warrior. And, she started praying in tongues, but it wasn't really, it was like, now that I think about it, it was such a groaning in her spirit that it was a time that there was nothing to say.
Yeah.
there was no words,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that prayer was just from the heart, and I know the Holy Spirit knew what she was saying,
Mm-hmm.
but it was just such a groaning and a hurt that my friend prayed, and while she was praying, and then I called another friend that she has breast cancer, and she prayed for me, and anyway, it was just a very surreal kind of day. But going forward, the next day we went to the specialist, to the surgeon, and he said, I just ran into an oncologist friend of mine, and he said he would take your case if you would want to do that. Well, that was such an amazing blessing because he's the head of oncology, and his name is Dr. Orlowski, and he is just amazing. He's just, I mean, he's famous in Catawba County, I know. But anyway, so the next day, well, going back, when I went to the surgeon, the friend, my prayer warrior, that prayed for me that day before, she had just called me when I was on my way to the doctor, and she said, how are you? I just want to check on you. When I got off the elevator, my cousin Sherry and my husband and I were going to the doctor, and there was a lady that was standing there just looking at me, and I said, hi, how are you? And I thought, why is that lady still looking at me? And I turned back around and go, hi. And it was my friend had driven all the way from Marion, my hometown, and it was my prayer warrior, and she was there to be with me. And I was just so overwhelmed, I wasn't even thinking, and there was my little friend there waiting with me, and we all went in so two of my best friends were there to go into the doctor with me. So the next day I went to the oncologist, and I was just hysterical. And the PA came in first, and we talked, and I said, I don't even know what to do. I said, you know, I have a son that's 12, and this can't be happening. You know, I can't have cancer, and you know, what am I going to do? And so she was so comforting, and well, we asked, can we get a second opinion? And I remember her looking me deep in the eyes, and she said, you do not have time. There's no time. We've got to do this. And you know, the doctors, both the surgeon told me too, they said it's spreading too fast. You cannot get a second opinion. So the PA, I won't say her name, but she is an amazing lady, and that day God sent me absolutely an earthly angel. And while she was talking, and I was just crying so hard about Corey, and she said, I usually don't tell the patients, she said, but I also have breast cancer, and I just finished having surgery and treatments. She said, so I know what you're going through. I have cancer too. Well, that just blew me away, so we just stood and held each other and cried. And she said, my children are in their 30s, but she said it was the most difficult thing to tell my children that I have cancer. And so she said, I'm telling you what to do. She said, I believe in prayer. I believe in being anointed. She said, if you had to go to your, and get anointed every single Sunday with oil, then that's what you need to do, because God does answer prayers. And so I had a bottle of anointed oil that my friend Sally had given me, and I had it in my hand while I was sitting there, and I said, I have some anointed oil here. And it just made me feel better knowing that I had that oil holding it in my hand. And so Steve said, well, we knew you were a Christian because, you know, the bracelet that you have on. And so I want you to see this. This is the bracelet that she had on. And she came over to me, and this was just the most amazing thing. She took this bracelet off of her arm, and she said, a cancer patient gave me this. She said, but I want you to have it, because this is a promise that you are going to make it. And I'm going to see you on the other side. Oh. And so she slipped this on my arm, and I've held it onto it through this whole journey. And it was just like God sent her that day to give me a promise that I am going to make it. I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. She wouldn't have been here. He would not have sent this angel. She didn't have to tell me that. She didn't have to do that. So I have worn this bracelet almost every single day because it feels like this is something that God's just holding me together and just gave me a promise, that I'm going to be okay. So there has been so many miracles and stories that have happened that God has shown up every day. He has just shown up for some reason. And
well, when I've talked to you about it, a lot of I feel like in every story, it's like God came before you.
He did.
And laid the way. I mean, in everything. In the way that you found out, and you being covered with insurance. I don't know if you wanted to go into that, but that's one of my favorite stories.
Yeah.
Just with everything, God has gone before you and really just cleared a path for you to beat this thing.
He has. Let me.
Yeah.
That's a good thing to talk about because he has. I mean, God's provisions have been incredible, and I can't even begin to tell you. But if I had not have had this accident, I would have died this year, and I know that because when I did the PET scan, and after I finished the PET scan and went back to the doctor, I found out that it is stage 4 cancer. That it had already spread to the lymph nodes in my neck, my chest, under my arm, my abdomen, and even in the femur in my leg. So it had already started into the bones. And I was just absolutely blown away that it could have happened that quick. Well, let me tell you just real quickly about this type of cancer. It's called inflammatory breast cancer, and it's a very rare, very aggressive kind of cancer that it doesn't even show itself, no signs whatsoever until it's stage 3. So when I hit myself and it showed up, that was already stage 3, and then if it goes to more than one lymph node, it's already stage 4. So it was already stage 4, and when I looked this up, and the reason why I didn't want to even say it out loud is because this kind of cancer can spread by the hour, by the day, and that's why they pushed me so fast through this process, because it was spreading so fast. And that was one of the provisions. Not only did God have that I had this accident to hit my breast, but then a few weeks later, Steve and I were moving a really large refrigerator, and if y'all know, my husband and I, we should not be moving refrigerators.
No,
my husband is not capable of really moving a refrigerator, and I'm not either. So he was trying to pull it from the back, and I said, honey, I'm really strong, let me do that. So I got in the back, and I was pulling it with the
dolly.
And so when I was pulling it, it hit the bottom of the ramp going up to the trailer. Well, it bounced off of the trailer, the dolly, and it fell completely on my body. And so here we were in Bethlehem, North Carolina, at a little warehouse by ourselves, and a refrigerator was on top of me. That's true. And so,
and Steve is not capable of getting this thing off of
you. And that's right. But when your adrenaline kicks in, my husband, that was not able to do that, lifted it with one hand and picked me up with other. Now that is the truth. He moved that refrigerator with one hand. That's what happens when you're just supernatural. I mean, he turned into my Superman and pulled that thing off of me. And so here we were, and now a refrigerator has fallen on my breast.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but you know what? that caused me to continue to go to the doctor because I thought, okay, now I've had 2 accidents. That's why my breast is like that. So it was all, God was just laying those things out. You know, it's a crazy story. But God knew that I needed something else to make me continue to go to the doctor. Okay, so one of the other things is that my cousin lived in Greenville, South Carolina, and we have been, I mean, we're like sisters, 9 months apart, and I would have needed her through this thing, but would never have dreamed that she would be there. Well, like several months before, she had applied for a job in Lake Norman as a tennis pro, and out of the blue, they called and they said, come and interview and we'll give you this job. And I thought, wow, God is really blessing her. So, I mean, just all of a sudden, she got that job and she moved into our downstairs. And, you know, so I thought, wow, God is really blessing her, which he did. But now we know that she was there because God knew that the cancer was coming. And he knew that I needed somebody there to help me with Corey, to help me go buy groceries, to help me around the house. So he already had that laid out. And she called me one day from work and just crying, and she said, it's not about the job. And I said, no, it's not about the job. And she said, God showed me it's about you. And so that was the accident that was huge. Because if I didn't have that accident, it wouldn't have been found. It would have been too late. It would have really been too late. And then the insurance. This is an amazing story, and probably only me. It would happen to me. But so the first day I was having chemo, my husband got a phone call from Farm Bureau Insurance, and
that he used to work for.
That my husband was a district manager for, and. So the president called and he said, I wanted you to know that Kim has cancer insurance. And Steve said, no, we don't have cancer insurance. And he said, yes, Kim is covered with our cancer policy. And Steve said, well, how can that be? And he said, well, and this will blow your mind, my ex-husband had bought cancer insurance on both of us when we were 28 years old. And he and I have been apart for 20 years. So he has paid the premiums on this cancer insurance for 20 years now, and I have cancer insurance. So
that your ex-husband,
that my ex-husband has been paying for 20 years, and so I have cancer insurance to cover some of this. So let's see, 28, yeah. So 28 years ago, he bought this policy when we were 28, because we're 54. We have been apart for 20 years of that, and he still continues to pay it every single month. It absolutely blew me away that only God would take even a person that I would never dream that would be still part of my life, my ex-husband, and put him in the picture, and knowing that 28 years ago that God was already working in my behalf, that I would have insurance 28 years later.
I've heard this story. I have told this story, and still every time you say it, I get goosebumps. Every time I tell somebody, I get goosebumps. Like, it's just so amazing.
You can just like see the picture.
Yeah,
it's all like all the pieces that are connected.
Isn't that something?
Yes.
Isn't
and
something?
that I think sometimes when we go through the valleys of life, and we kind of think like, why me? And why are you doing this to me? And is there a God? And where are you in this picture? And when you say it like that, you can see that, yes, you're going through something that sucks, and we don't know why.
Exactly.
But God was taking care of you long before this diagnosis. God
Absolutely.
was taking care of you and will continue to take care of you once you've beaten this thing. And I just think it's really cool to see it come full circle.
Isn't that something? I know. I mean, you know, and sometimes you have to wait years before you can see the picture. But God is unveiling all of these little stories right before my eyes. So we called my ex-husband, and I told him, I said, I'm just overwhelmed. I cannot believe that you would do this. And he said, you know, I remember the day that that I wrote the policy on you. And he said, I just didn't think a lot about it and just continued to pay for it. And I said, well, you have no idea what that means to me, because that money comes back, to us for other expenses, just to help out. And there are so many expenses I cannot even tell you. One drug that I'm taking is $20,000.
Oh my goodness.
And I will have to be on that for life. So I have to take two of those medicines every 3 weeks for life. So that's $40,000 every 3 weeks. But God has taken care of that too. I mean, God has taken care of that. And so it's almost, and the amazing thing is, when you see all those bills pouring in, you think about, am I going to make it? I've got a little boy, I've got a husband, but you know what? God has given me the most incredible peace that passes all understanding, that you cannot even describe. I can't describe it. Just like my cousin she said, you're the crier, and Caitlin knows that. I mean, I cry over everything. And I haven't really cried over this, because it's like God has given me this peace that I just know that it's going to be okay. And it has just, so when I talked to my ex-husband, and I said, we need to pay you for all these years that you've been paying. And he said, no, you're not going to do that. I will take care of it. And so we called him back about, going forward, because I will have to have that cancer insurance policy, and he's going to pay for it. So that's pretty amazing, isn't it? That God has used so many people from my past, from my future, from the present. I mean, it's just pretty incredible. When I was having my PET scan, I remember this, I don't even know what the gentleman was like, but I remember they had me kind of strapped in and giving me the medicine, and I told that guy, I said, I am not supposed to be here. I said, there is no cancer that runs in my family. There is no reason that I should be here. I had an accident. I don't have cancer. And he looked at me in the eyes, and he said, is there somebody in your family that needs to get saved? And I said, I'm sure there is. And he said, that's probably why you're here. So I have thought about that every day that I've had cancer. Who is it that God may be wanting me to share the Lord with? Who is it that this is about? Is it about me? And yes, it is. It's about me growing closer to the Lord and depending on Him for everything. But it may be also for somebody else that, that I talk to strangers and talk to anybody that will listen to me. But you know what? He really has given me a story. He's given me a story. And one of the ladies, beautiful ladies from our church, told me, she said, Kim, that may be why you have it. That might be it, is that God knew He could trust you to tell the story. So that is one
of the reasons. If you can trust anyone to tell a story, it's Kim.
And to talk your ear off, that's going to be me.
No. Well, go ahead. No, I was just going to say, she said she had some information.
Yes. I was wanting to, I'm so thankful that you ladies asked me, because, I was definitely going to volunteer, because it's so important that it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And so just a few comments about breast cancer is that 1 out of 8 women get breast cancer. That is huge. That is huge. 1 out of 8. So, there's 5 of us, and I mean, and I'm the one, but 1 in 8, that's huge. We lose a lot of our friends and families and mothers and daughters and sisters to breast cancer, and I don't know what it is that God is calling me to do, but I want to be an advocate, for breast cancer awareness, because it happens so fast, and I don't think that I look real sick, and so that's what I'm saying. You can be walking around just an everyday person of mine, going about your business, and you have stage 4 cancer. And, you know, there just needs to be so much more studies, especially with this inflammatory breast cancer that I have. It's very rare, very aggressive. And I just wanted to tell the listeners the signs, just so, you know, just so that we know not to scare anyone, but to make sure that we, you know, really aware of our bodies, because this does not show up on a mammogram, and it did not show up on the ultrasound. There is not a lump that comes with this breast cancer. So even if there's a little bit of a rash or a bump near the breast, everything that I'm reading is saying just get it checked out. Just let the doctor look at it. Even a bug bite, you know, that's near the breast, you need to, you know, just get it checked out, because the signs for this inflammatory breast cancer is a swollen breast, it's red, stabbing pains, rash, could be tiny spots that looks like a bug bite, like I said. But the breast, when it became stage 4, it started looking like it has an orange peel texture. It's really it's pretty gross. And but it has a texture to it that's very abnormal, and the rash, and then the nipple starts turning inward. So just to kind of give you an idea of what this particular one, I did not even know that there are many types of breast cancers. You know, some are not as serious, even though they're all serious, but this one in particular, there's not a real high survival rate. But the thing is that they're coming up with so many more treatments and so much more medications, you know, to treat this. So I would like to say, just because we're on this this thing, that I have such a praise story, is that they put me through 18 weeks of chemo. The doctor has called it off 1 month early because he feels like I am in remission. And is that something? I mean, because in the beginning, he told me, he said, you will have to go through 18 weeks of chemotherapy, and then we'll remove the breast, and then you'll have to go through radiation. And I said, I don't care, I just want to live. I will do whatever. And he said, I'm telling you, this is very serious. And this is not even a battle. This is war. And you do not have a choice. This is war. And you have got to stay with me. And so I am here. And I am feeling great. And he told me this week that my breast is normal, which I just could not even believe, to hear the word normal, that my breast is back to normal. And he's called off all of the rest of my chemotherapy because he said, you know, he feels like I'm in remission at this point. So I am so grateful, so thankful. And
so are we.
Thank you. And so, you know, that alone, that's huge. Yeah. I mean, to not have to have, you know, the surgery or the radiation. And the oncologist nurses told me, they said, he always goes the extra, you know, the amount +1. And for him to call it off 1 month early is just huge. So I have a PET scan in a few weeks, and so we'll see, you know, if it's all taken care of. And if it isn't, then, you know, then we'll have to start chemo. But from the rest of my life, I will have to take IVs, which that's kind of the pits, but, you know, if that's what keeps me alive, then that's what keeps me alive. But I have a port right here in my chest, and so they will put the 2, it's a more of a maintenance kind of drugs, and they will give me that every 3 weeks and for the rest of my life. And so it's supposed to just keep the cancer, you know, in remission. So it has just, it's been a real journey, So, but I'm just thankful that I can sit here and say that that's, you know, that at least to a crossroads that I can maybe start planning things again and living a little bit more normal, because the chemotherapy makes you very, very, very sick.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just thankful that God's been with me through it all.
We are too. Well, thank you for sharing your story, and really thank you. It's
You're welcome.
I love hearing the story, and I love that you're still here, and I love that you're going to be here, and I love that we're good.
We're good.
We're going to trust. We're going to trust that this is it, and we're done, and we don't ever want to hear it again. And if we do,
then we'll
keep fighting.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
And thank you for your faith. For, you know, I think your faith has encouraged other people to have faith and know that no matter what, everything's gonna work out. Everything's gonna be okay.
Well, we all have our issues. I mean, we all have. It may not be cancer, but we all have
absolutely
things that we need to depend on the Lord, and it gives you such a different perspective in life, and it definitely makes you thankful for what you have.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thankful for you ladies, and thank you for letting me come.
You're very welcome. Thank you. So thank you for watching #MomSquad Diagnosis Mom Polar. We would love to answer any of your questions. So if you have any questions, comment below. If you have any questions for Kim, or you want to say something to Kim, we'll make sure that it gets to her, and we will get her to answer your questions if you have any. If you are going through the valleys right now and you need some prayer, give us a shout, and we will be happy to pray for you guys. One of the things that when we started this, it was moments like this, you know, we have fun with the embarrassing stories, and we have fun with some of the funner videos that we do, but we wanted to do something that meant something and touched people and got word out about important topics like miscarriages and depression and cancer and the times that we need each other as women. Real quick, I wanted to say that we are missing one. We put Kim here in the middle, but we are missing one of our moms, and Tabitha wishes she could be here. This was one she was super excited about and really wanted to talk to you, but she's dealing with some family stuff, and we're moms and families come first. So she'll be back next week. So thanks guys for watching, and have a good week. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.